it is, baseball night in America from Houston, Texas in the Lone Star Series. Game 2 of this weekend set. It's the Rangers and the Astros, with the Rangers beating Carlos Correa and the Astros last night 2-1. Rougned Odor, Elvis Andrus, and the Rangers hoping they can move to 5-0 on the season against Houston. And we say welcome inside with Tom Verducci. I'm Joe Davis. JP Morosi joins us in just a moment. Couple of fantastic second basemen in this series, and let's start off first with Jose Altuve, who's putting together an MVP caliber season.
Well, Joe, when you come to Major League Baseball, there is no sign that says you must be this tall to enjoy the ride. It's a good thing for Jose Altuve. He's just 5'6", but he is putting up big man numbers. I'm talking about MVP type of numbers. I think he's better than ever. Why? Because he's more selective than ever. And if you don't think this guy is important to the Astros, well, understand this. Tonight is game 44 for Houston. They've won only 2 games all year without Altuve scoring a run.
On the other side, Rougned Odor, if you hadn't heard of him prior to last week, and you have now, of course, with the altercation against Toronto, that took all the news. But this guy means so much more than just that to this Texas team.
Well, he's the ultimate disruptor. He gets under the skin of other teams, and he does it by playing the game so hard. This is a guy, whether he's playing defense, whether he's running the bases, or whether he's in the batter's box, is 100% aggressive, all-out energy. And tonight, he's back in the leadoff spot. And oh, by the way, he is slugging over 500 out of the leadoff spot. Altuve, Odor, 2 second basemen, playing a big man's game.
And 2 teams out of Texas here in the American League West. It's baseball night in America. It is back, and first pitch comes up on the other side of this break. Tonight it's been pouring rain outside. In fact, it was raining so hard that it was coming through portions of the roof prior to the game just a few minutes ago. 76 degrees on the outside, typically humid here in Houston. You know, last year, early on in August, the Rangers trailed the Astros by 8 full games in the West, but then tore through Houston to take over the division lead. They swept them in a 3-game set in August, swept them in a 4-game set in September, and 17-6 against the Astros going back to the beginning of last season. That includes winning all 4 games in the season series here in 2016, 2-1 last night on the strength of a Prince Fielder 2-run double. Tonight, Mike Fiers goes for the Astros, and Rougned Odor stands in to get game 2 of this 3-game series started. And away we go with ball 1.
And Joe, I think there's a reason why the Rangers have had the edge in the Silver Boot series. It's because there's not a lot of velocity on this Houston starting staff. Fiers another guy. He really needs to get to his curveball and changeup against an extremely aggressive lineup.
Now, the Rangers lead the American League in swing percentage, or the percentage of pitches they hack at. And that plays well against this staff, like you mentioned, that doesn't have much heat, but does throw a lot of strikes. Breaking ball, cut on and miss, 1-2.
That's the pitch when Mike Fiers is on that will dictate everything for him. He does not like throwing that pitch when he's behind on the count, but now he can get to his split change on a 2-strike count to a good fastball hitter.
Odor leading off the game for the Rangers by striking out on that breaking ball. So 1 gone in this Texas first inning. This Rangers lineup has scored only 9 runs over the last 4 games as it dropped 3 of 4. Desmond's back in the 2 spot. Fielder hitting 3rd for the 2nd consecutive game. And you notice no Shin-Soo Choo left last night's game. First one he played in more than a month. He was out with a calf injury, then came back, pulled his hamstring, and so out of the lineup tonight, although potentially available to pinch hit later in this game. Ian Desmond swings through a fastball, strike 1. Desmond having a really nice first year in Texas. Got off to a slow start, and Jeff Bannister gave him a few days off in mid-April. Since coming back, top 5 in the American League in slugging. And behind Fiers twice on fastballs, behind in the count 0-2.
Mike Fiers will live upstairs intentionally with that 4-seam fastball. Now, this year, Joe, that pitch has gotten hammered. Batters are hitting 440 on that 4-seam fastball, but so far, just 2 batters into the game, he is showing a good one to Texas.
Struck out Odor with a curveball. Goes 3 fastballs in a row to Desmond, 1-2. Desmond playing the outfield for the first time in his career. Of course, a career shortstop in Washington. Came over as the left fielder. His move to center with the Shields demotion to AAA.
See if he goes back to curveball here. There's a lot of good curveballs in the game. None break down as much as Mike Fiers' curveball.
Off speed, ripped on the ground is short. Carlos Correa, 2 up and 2 down here in the first inning. Reigning Rookie of the Year, anchoring that defense at short. This defense shifts more than any other in baseball, and as far as turning batted balls into outs, Tom, last year they were one of the best in baseball. This year, one of the worst.
Yeah, they were 2nd in the league last year, 14th this year. I think a lot of that has to do with their shifts, which we'll see right here with Prince Fielder, as A.J. Hinch told us, also due to some just careless errors, balls that should have been outs, not turned into outs.
Fielder with a game-winning blow last night. 2-run double in the 3rd. Goes after the first pitch and makes this a quick first inning. 10 pitches from Mike Fiers to work 1, 2, 3. And the Astros come to the plate for the first time after this. Texas ready to face off with this Astros lineup, penned out by A.J. Hinch. Top three in the order, as good as any top three in baseball. It's been the rest of the order that has brought this lineup down. This is the 39th different lineup that A.J. Hinch has had to pen in his 44 games this season. That is the most in the American League, and that is with the top three in this order remaining pretty much the same throughout the year.
Yeah, that top three, it's as good as any team in baseball. The problem for Houston is getting production out of the back half of the lineup.
We talked about Altuve off of the top. What a year he's having. Goes after the first pitch and pulls it foul. He is #1 in the American League in batting average. He's #1 in on-base percentage. #1 in runs scored. He's #1 in doubles. He's #1 in stolen bases. And he's top 5 in slugging. And he scorches one to center right at Ian Desmond for the first out. Well, Cesar Ramos, 31 years old, out of Los Angeles, started the season in AAA, was called up near the end of April and makes his third start tonight.
Well, if you're a fan of velocity and the radar gun, I'm sorry folks, today's not your day.
Yeah.
Because like Mike Fiers, he might show you 91. That's probably his best bullet. His whole game is about changing speeds. 5 different pitches, he uses all of them. I think his key is his changeup. He will throw that to righties on both sides of the plate. Yeah, even inside to righties.
Here's the right-handed hitter and George Springer flying the first pitch to right. Nomar Mazara back to the edge of the warning track, 2 away. Now Ramos faced the Rangers a bunch last year while he was an Angel, putting together the best season of his career. With an ERA below 3 exclusively as a reliever. And while his numbers against Texas were not good, it was his attitude and his approach that really impressed the front office and Jeff Bannister and led them to go get him in the offseason.
Well, yeah, it took until January, though, and a minor league deal. I was shocked, as well as he pitched last year for the Angels, that it took so long for him to get a deal. And it was a minor league deal at that. But he said the opportunity to start here was something that really attracted him to Texas.
In his 8th year with big league time now, faces Carlos Correa, who's in his 2nd season with big league time. Reigning Rookie of the Year in the American League. 265 so far.
And it was telling to see Ramos just pour in that first pitch fastball that got a lot of the plate. Words out on Correa. He will concede you that pitch, that first pitch strike.
Goes after this 1-1 and sends one in the air to deep right field. Mazara's back with room to make the play and bring this 6-pitch first inning to a close for Cesar Ramos. Adrian Beltre set to lead off the 2nd. Middle third of the Rangers order in a scoreless game in Houston. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by the Lincoln Motor Company and the exhilarating new Lincoln MKZ. Back in Houston, Minute Maid Park, second inning, no score. Middle third of the order for the Rangers against Mike Fiers. Adrian Beltre swings at the first pitch and hammers one down the left field line, but foul. My goodness, a skyscraping fly ball for strike one.
Yeah, he's been paying attention. He has seen Fiers pour in those first pitch fastballs, and he wasn't about to take it.
Fiers worked a lightning quick first inning, just 10 pitches.
Yeah, what he was looking for.
Yeah.
Just out front.
19-year veteran Beltre looks at a curve that spins outside, and it's 1-1, and he will play at least 2 more years, signing that extension during April. Has him wrapped up through his 21st Major League season. Waits on a 1-1. Cuts through it 1-2.
A really good split change. I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to tonight. A wedding proposal swing from Adrian Beltre. You know what that is, right? When he gets down on one knee. Because Fiers with that split change and with that curveball, the off-speed pitches down in the zone is when you see the wedding proposal.
I had never heard it phrased that way, but I knew exactly what you were talking about. Breaking ball grounded to short. Correa. He homered in Oakland earlier this week on the proposal swing. He's done so many times in his career. It's kind of become his signature.
And breaking ball, that one wasn't down. But you know, good hitters, when they read the off-speed pitch, they will sink into their legs to buy themselves more time to wait. Well, Beltre sinks a lot further down than most everybody else.
There's Mitch Moreland. 7th Major League season for him, all with the Rangers. He's been a part of this rivalry. Every year they've been in the same division, interleague play before that. And he looks at strike one from Fiers. Had a career year last year. Did Moreland. The number's not as good this year, sitting at 242. Pulls a bouncing ball wide of first, just foul, and it's 0-2. Well, Mike Fiers, 30 years old, out of Hollywood, Florida. He was originally scheduled to start on Thursday against the White Sox, but they needed him kind of out of desperation Sunday in Boston. Chris Davinsky lasted only 2 innings, so Fiers had to go in and throw 4 relief innings, putting him on schedule to start here on this Saturday evening.
Joe, I thought with his curveball, that's something he's thrown his whole life. It just has a natural feel to spin the baseball. Told me his dad wouldn't let him throw breaking balls at a young age. It wasn't until he got to junior college, Broward Junior College in Florida. There it is again.
Dialed in tonight.
Felipe Suarez, a former minor league pitcher, was the pitching coach there, showed him this pitch, and what he does is he tries to spin it as fast as he can. Doesn't care about velocity, it's more about spin, and you can see that the spin axis is almost right over the top. That's why this is an old school 12-6 curveball. There's really not side to side break to it, it's all downward. 12 inches on average of downward break, the biggest in baseball.
5 up and 5 down for him, Elvis Andrus. 291 this year. Started him with a fastball, downstairs, ball 1. Got off to a great start, did Andrus, at 329 in April. Word is that he's been much more attentive, much more locked in on a daily basis. Numbers have evened out some here in May. Still pretty darn good overall.
He's had only 2 extra base hits this month. I've always thought this guy has more power in that bat. He's a big guy. A lot of times he'll just push the ball to the opposite field rather than taking some shots, like right now at 2-0. Nobody on base. This should be a bigger swing.
Instead he takes a strike. It's checking with J.P. Morosi.
Yeah, Joe, Elvis Andrus told me before the game today that through the first few years of his contract extension, he tried to do more than what they were paying him for. Now he's subscribing to a simple word: simplify.
See what he does on 2-1, J.P. Hits it hard but foul, and it's 2-2. The contract, 8 years, $118 million. He signed through the 2022 season. You know, last year, career low numbers for him, and then that postseason that was a nightmare, especially the Game 5 in Toronto, where he committed the 2 errors in the 7th inning. He's done his best to put that behind him, to put the pressure of the contract behind him, like JP mentioned. 3-2.
Well, I've always thought he should be a better offensive player than he's been. He's a terrific base runner. I think one of the better ones in the league. And his defense, as you mentioned, has tightened up. This is where Fiers likes to throw that cutter. Talked about how hitters have been on his fastball. Get something that moves off the barrel a little bit. That's what you see right here.
In the air to left, sending Rasmus back to the warning track, and Andrews breaks the scoreless tie with a solo home run. His first of the season, and it's 1-0 Texas.
John mentioned that cutter designed to work off the barrel. That one didn't start outside enough and broke into the barrel and was up. An easy place for Andrews to get to. See the pitch is up. Boy, in this ballpark, he knew it was gone.
He did.
It wasn't like it was 50 rows deep. It doesn't take a lot to leave to left field.
Only 3:15 down the line to left here into the Crawford boxes to start the scoring in the second, and now Nomar Mazara pulls it sharply right at Altuve, and the inning is over. But Elvis Andrus, his first home run of the season, makes it 1-0 Rangers as they try to skate out to a 5-0 series lead on the season over their in-state rivals. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Kentucky Fried Chicken, Colonel Quality Guaranteed. Elvis Andrus with a solo homer at the top of this inning, and the Rangers with a 1-0 lead. As Evan Gattis climbs in against Ramos and looks at ball one. Gattis recently went back down to the minors to get reacquainted with catching, something that he had done in his 2 years in Atlanta, but not since then. And it got him ready to be the backup catcher to Jason Castro. He's caught one game so far since his return, and reviews have been positive.
Not sure I remember anybody else who really left the catching position and came back to it almost 2 years later.
That was his primary position in Atlanta. Last year, mostly the DH for Houston. Career year for him, led the team in homers and RBIs. And struggled out of the gate this year. 2-1. Lifted in the air to left center field. Brian Rua is there for out number 1. The best seats at every ballpark for every game. Visit MLB.com/tickets today. Ramos to face Rasmus, who's had good success against him in his career. Rasmus down to the 5 spot tonight. Only the 4th time that he's hit there this year. It's been mostly cleanup for Rasmus. A.J. Hinch trying to find that right equation in the bottom part of this order to get through that dynamite top 3. Strike 1.
Good luck trying to get a ball between Moreland and Odor on the right side. See where Odor is stationed. Not typically back the way a lot of second basemen are in the shift. That's out of respect to Rasmus's speed.
Second season in an Astro uniform for him. Former highly touted Cardinal prospect, debuted with St. Louis, then Toronto, and then to the Astros prior to last year. Ramos 1-1. Is golfed in the air to left field for Rua, and that's 5 up and 5 down for Ramos.
And 5 fly balls. That's all you need to know about why the Astros are not a great rally team. Strikeouts, pop-ups, fly balls. Tough to string hits together. They walk a lot. They just don't put the ball in play to get a lot of hits to extend rallies. Their game so far has been walks and home runs. When the home runs don't come, it's hard for them to find a way to get enough offense.
There's Tyler White. Yeah, it's weird. You know, they're 6th in the majors in homers. They lead the majors in walks, but they also lead the majors in strikeouts. And they're down near the bottom of the majors in batting average. White hitting 6th today. Broke onto the scene with a monster opening week here to his rookie campaign. Hit 3 home runs in his first 6 games. And it came out of the middle of nowhere. It was a 32nd round draft pick that made a stop at every level of the minors. Beat out a couple of more highly touted prospects to win the first base job. Chris Carter no longer here in Houston. And that first week was not just the rookie of the week, was the player of the week in the American League. Although since then, it was not nearly as good.
Well, I liked what he did on the first pitch. This is a guy who rarely swings at the first pitch. Takes an enormous number of pitches in the zone. But with 2 outs and nobody on base, he tried to ambush Ramos. Just missed it, fouled it off. But I like the approach. A guy who's normally not aggressive took a shot right there.
7 home runs total in his rookie year, and waits on this 1-2. On the ground is short. Elvis Andrus 6 up and 6 down. An 11 pitch inning that time for Ramos, who's needed only 17 pitches to get the first 6 outs. this game, and it was a home run. Elvis Andrus solo shot in the second. Ryan Rua 8-9-1 for the Rangers against Mike Fiers here in the third. Rua looks at ball one. Back into the lineup today and left. He replaced Shin-Soo Choo yesterday. Choo, of course, has been out for more than a month with a calf injury. Returned, made 2 at-bats, walked both times, and then hurt his hamstring coming home on a base hit. Rua grounds out to Correa for the first out. It's time to get major league coverage. T-Mobile has doubled its 4G LTE in the last year. Now covers 308 million Americans. So, Tom, the Rangers continue to have to deal with injuries, and it's not just this year. It's the last few seasons that this club has dealt with that.
Yeah, I remember last year in spring training when Yu Darvish went down with the elbow injury that required Tommy John surgery, and Jeff Bannister and a rookie manager with the Rangers gathered his team and said, guys, you got about 5 minutes to feel sorry for yourself, and that's it.
Ryan Holiday taking strike one.
Now, Choo is available to pinch hit today, but the issue is if he happened to reach base, they would have to put a runner in for him. So any move with Choo would be a 2-player move. That really shortens your bench.
I think the mood around here was generally positive, that it wasn't anything more than that. Anytime you hear hamstring, you think, well, likely a trip back to the disabled list. But for right now, they're not talking DL for Choo. Ball and a strike on Holiday. He was on this team as the result of another injury largely. He takes outside, and it's 2-1. They've had a revolving door at catcher that started with Robinson Chirinos going down with an injury. Holiday was traded here in late March. The guy the Rangers traded for him, Bobby Wilson, has been traded back to Texas to share the catching duties with him. High fly ball to left center field. It's carrying well for Holiday, and it's off of the wall. He's into second with a 1-out double.
Well, if you want to know why a pitcher's fastball can get hit to a 440 average, this is what happens. You get into hitters' counts, and I mentioned he does not throw his curveball when he's behind on the count. So he's coming in 2-1 with a challenge fastball. Great approach by Holiday, staying on that pitch down, really not down enough. Got to stay out of those hitters' counts where the Rangers can sit on fastball.
So that sets it up nicely for the top of the order. Here's Odor. He got with that big curveball for a strikeout in the first inning.
The defensive shift has Correa on the second base side up the middle. I would not shift over that way. I know Odor is a pull hitter, but in this situation, runner on second base with a pitcher with, let's face it, not a lot of velocity, where the hitter can more manipulate the ball, especially if Fiers are going to pitch him away. I think with a runner on second base, Odor is more likely to hit the ball the other way than he is to pull the ball. I know he wants to get him in, but he'll use the whole field here.
On 1-0, breaking ball is up, and it's 2-0.
I watched this guy take batting practice the last 2 days talking about Odor, and he really was focused, and why not, on that left field wall. He's strong enough to leave any part of the ballpark.
That ball is rifled down the right field line, but foul. And it's 2-1. Let's check in again with JP.
Yeah, Joe, the Rangers want to be cautious with Shin-Soo Choo. They don't want him to re-aggravate that injury because they're bracing for the suspension news on Odor potentially Monday or Tuesday. Now, you cannot replace a player suspended for a brawl. Therefore, the Rangers are already expecting they'll have to be one player short once Odor is suspended. Also, guys, watch for Jurickson Profar, the former top prospect, to come up from the minor leagues once Odor's suspension is official.
Now, Profar played in a game at second base the other day for the first time this year. He had been working at second, but only behind the scenes. ramped up that development at second with the suspension looming for Odor. And of course, though, that would take some maneuvering because, like JP mentioned, you lose that spot on the roster. So while Odor is suspended, Rangers will have to play with 24. 2-2.
Well, Odor's been cold since that brawl in Texas. 3 for his last 18 while playing with the appeal pending.
One out double from Brian Holiday. Fires struck Odor out with a curveball his first time up. Went to it again. This time he bangs it to deep right over Springer's head and off the wall. Holiday hits third and comes home. Odor is dead to rights at second and tagged out by Altuve on what will be scored as an RBI single to make it 2-0. Went right back to that breaking ball that he got him on the first time, and this time Odor was ready.
Yeah, that breaking ball with 2 strikes designed to be a chase pitch. That was in the zone. That's what happens when you feel like you need to throw it for a strike. See, that one stays up. And he's got to stop at first base. He's not running hard even after he slips. Springer has a tremendous arm in the outfield that plays directly in front of Odor. He can see the ball bounce directly to Springer, an outfielder with a good arm. That equation is stop in your tracks, get back to the bag. It's just a poor read. He should have been busting it harder down the line.
So Desmond bats with the bases empty. Strike one.
I think he thinks maybe this ball is out. He's watching it. And it's just not hard enough to get 2 out of it. And you could see he realized about halfway there. Pulled the parachute.
His first RBI, by the way, since May 9th. As he's been hitting mostly out of the leadoff spot. Desmond's 0 for 1, grounded to short his first time. And on the 1-1, cuts through it 1-2.
They've done that last night and today. Keep the ball away from Ian Desmond. Tremendous inside pitch hitter because he has a stride. He starts open and he never gets to neutral. He keeps that front side open, so it's difficult for him, especially down and away. Going back there with a fastball. That pitch right there, down and away off the plate. He has 0 hits on that pitch so far this season. And if I'm Fiers, I just keep the ball out there, especially in this yard.
Castro's setting away, and he gets in with a fastball staying right over that outer third of the plate. Back-to-back 1-out hits, and it's 2-0 Texas. Single, and the Rangers lead the Astros 2-0. Joe Davis, Tom Verducci, J.P. Morosi back here at Minute Maid Park. Cesar Ramos has needed only 17 pitches to get the first 6 outs of this game. He delivers strike 1 to Marwin Gonzalez.
What a start. He threw more pitches warming up in the bullpen than he did to get through 2 innings.
For a guy who started the season in the minors, was called up near the end of April. Split his time between the rotation and the pen so far this year. Gonzalez goes the other way. That is just foul, and it's 0-2.
Well, you don't see a lot from Gonzalez hitting the ball the other way like that. In fact, A.J. Hinch liked this matchup. Gonzalez on Ramos. He likes to hit everything out front. Fly ball hitter. With those Crawford boxes, that is a dangerous approach.
Gonzalez making the start at third instead of Colin Moran with the left-handed pitcher. Moran just called up this week. Cue shot and a breaking ball that he was fooled on, and it stays 0-2. Couple of moves this week made by the Astros trying to jolt this offense. Carlos Gomez, one of the worst hitters in baseball over the first month plus, placed on the disabled list. Kemp and Moran both called up for their major league debuts. Gonzalez hammers a fly ball to deep left center. Desmond back to the warning track, sizes it up, and it's gone. Fourth of the season for Gonzalez, and it's a 2-1 game.
Exactly why the manager liked the matchup. He could only live for so long getting fly ball outs against this lineup in this ballpark. Ramos just got burned. Just left it up.
Yeah, A.J. Hinch had told us that despite him only being 1 for his last 14, the at-bats have been good lately. He's it off with a solo homer. First man to reach against Ramos, who misses upstairs with ball 1 to Jason Castro.
I just liked his thinking, Joe, that, yeah, I mean, whatever the numbers were in his last 14, 15 at-bats, he saw something in the stuff of Ramos and the swing of Gonzalez in his favor.
Castro right into the shift, Odor. 1 away.
You know, the stats are a great place to begin. But this is what the manager hoped he would get. A guy who likes to hit the ball out in front of him, even with 2 strikes. See him hit the ball out in front, that's a pull hitter. And when you leave it up, it makes it a lot easier to get the ball out.
Fourth homer of the year for Gonzalez, 4th one allowed by Ramos. And only 18 2/3. Jake Marisnick out of the 9 spot. Looks at a strike. Talking about A.J. Hinch playing that hunch. We got a couple of fantastic managers in this game. The top 2 in manager of the year voting last year. Hinch finished runner-up to Bannister. Their debut seasons. Of course, in the case of Jeff Bannister, he grew up an Astros fan. Well, not too far from here. Sneaking his way into the Astrodome as a kid to watch games. A little bit extra special, this rivalry. Comes a 1-2, and Marisnick takes it outside.
Yeah, and I had to ask him about sneaking into the Astrodome. Like, how did you actually do it? He said he had been a ball boy for his dad, who was a football coach, and they played a game at the Astrodome, and the team would come in through the loading dock. I said, oh, so you were casing the joint for a future break-in. Basically, that's what he did, and that's what he did. As a teenager, drove up, parked his car, paid his $2.50, didn't pay for a ticket, walked through the loading dock like he knew what he was doing. I'm telling you, Joe, that's the secret in life. If you walk like you know what you're doing, you can get away with a lot.
And just a minute ago, J.P. Morosi had a chance to visit with him.
Jeff, how about the power from Elvis Andrus?
Yeah, you know what? We moved Elvis up in that 6th slot tonight. Thought that the matchup was good for him. Just a high fastball. Put a good swing on it and hit it in the Crawford boxes.
Benny, I want to ask you about someone standing by us right now, Tony Beasley, your third base coach. He's been in Houston undergoing cancer treatments. How special is it for you and for him that he's with you in the dugout here this weekend?
Well, it's emotional, really, and it's tremendous to have him here with us and for everything that he's been going through. He's such a big part of this ball club, really a beloved coach in the dugout, and a guy that I've been with over 20 years. He's been such a friend, and for him to be with us tonight and last night and in this series, it's huge for him, I know, but it's probably a bigger plus for us.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Joe, back to you.
All right, JP, and Tony's going through treatment here in Houston this month, so it timed out well where he's able to join the team in the dugout. There he is right next to Jeff Bannister. Spike Owen, in the meantime, handling the third base coaching duties for Texas as Altuve takes a ball.
Well, it was appropriate. He was smiling in that shot that we had. It's actually hard to get a shot of Tony when he's not smiling. One of the great guys in the game. I was lucky enough to get to know him when he was actually helping to groom young Bryce Harper in the Washington National system. Bryce was probably just 17 or 18 at the time. A big influence on his development.
Ball and a strike on Altuve, who lined to center his first time. Enters this game riding a 12-game hitting streak. Waits on a 1-1. Bounces to short for Elvis Andrus. Astros get on the board with a leadoff home run from Marwin Gonzalez against Ramos, and it's 2-1 as we go to the 4th. Is sponsored by Cialis and by Chevrolet. Find new roads. We're back in Houston, the second game of this 3-game series, and Marwin Gonzalez has the Astros on the board with a solo homer. 2-1 Rangers as we start the 4th. Prince Fielder grounded out to first his first time. Mike fires, delivers a fastball, strike 1. Fielder's RBI double last night accounted for all the scoring in a 2-1 Ranger win. Got 7 shutout innings from Colby Lewis, who got his 100th career win when you combine his wins in the majors with his wins professionally in Japan. Houston got its lone run in the 9th inning against Sam Dyson. His first game not as a closer, but the first game where he's been anointed the team's closer. It was a bit of a rocky ninth, but he was able to get through it. Hold on to a 2-1 Texas win. Fielder pulls a line drive over the glove of Felipe Altuve, just barely beating the shift for a base hit.
Well, that's one time where being 5'6" is a disadvantage. Just over the glove. You see he's playing deep because of the lack of speed on Fielder. Oh my goodness, he got up high as high as he could. He'd even have ticked off the glove, and no, that's one time he beat the shift. He went from oh no to oh yes. Hitters hate
5-7 would have had it.
Hitters hate that though. You know,
Yeah.
if that ball is caught, you just scorched what was a base hit for 100 years.
Adrian Beltre fouls off the first pitch, putting together quite a case here as one of the great third basemen of all time.
Well, yeah, I think he's got Hall of Fame credentials now. Not many third basemen have put up these kinds of numbers, and of course you mentioned it, Joe. He's got an extension still coming. There's a lot more that he can add on to. Looking at 3,000 hits in the course of his career. A lot of hardware in the trophy room. How about 3 cycles?
Yeah, there's that proposal
Winning
swing.
proposal there. Thank you. You asked for it, you got it. He didn't disappoint. Wasn't a home run. Watch him sink into his legs and then just keep going. This is what happens. You get a slow off-speed pitch. That was the big curveball. He has 6 career triples in Arlington. His 3 cycles all came in Arlington. That's making use of your few triples.
One of them came against the Astros. Down swinging.
Great changeup.
Punch out for Fires between innings. JP Morosi with AJ Hinch.
AJ, I think that manager of the Astros had a good idea there. Gonzalez against the lefty, right?
Yeah, we like him against left-handed pitching, you know, and he gets going, especially in this ballpark. He's very comfortable hitting, and Marwin's a good player. He plays all around the field and gives up good at-bats.
Your thoughts on Fire so far?
You know, he's landed his breaking ball pretty well. He got beat. Odor got the good double, or single that got thrown out, and then the changeup for the home run. But his secondary pitches have been pretty good today because he's throwing strike one.
AJ, thanks.
Right,
Joe, back to you.
All right, JP. Here's Mitch Moreland. Goes after the first one, strike one.
We're getting back to those 3 cycles. The last player to do it, only 4 have done it. The last one to do it was Babe Herman. Played back 1926 to 45, mostly with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Back in those days, the Dodgers weren't very good. They were entertaining, though. They were known as the Daffiness Boys. Babe Herman was involved in an infamous play in which somehow, some way, the Dodgers had 3 runners on third base at the same time. It's almost impossible to do, even just trying to think, how could that happen? But it did. So hit by a pitch there by Moreland. Babe Herman, his life began in an unusual way. He was born in Buffalo, but his mother was frightened of thunder and lightning. So somebody told her it never had thunder and lightning in Los Angeles, so they packed up and moved to LA. Now, Joe, tell me, you get thunder and lightning in LA at all?
You know what? I've not moved out there yet, but I think that her assumption was probably a little bit off. Yeah, our producer Aaron Stoikov gets in our ear and said nobody told him about the earthquakes in Los Angeles. Elvis Andrus here, 2 on and 1 out. Solo shot his first time up, first of the season. Laid on a fastball through strike one.
You can see Elvis thinking, how did that ball get by me? How did I miss that? I was sitting on first pitch fastball. It was 91 center cut, and I still missed it. Partly the deception you get from Fires with that big delivery. The glove goes so high, hides the ball well.
2 on, 1 out, and an 0-1. Drifts inside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Andrus has been one of the best hitters in the American League in these situations this year, hitting .400 with men in scoring position. He has Fielder at second. He has Moreland at first. And he has a 1-1 coming home from Mike Fires. tries to lay off a sharp biter and does. 2-1. An all-star in 2010, was an all-star in 2012. But the numbers have dropped each year since. Steady in some here in 2016. Comes a 2-1. Andrews strokes it in the air to center. Marisnick on the move towards the track, reaches up and makes the play. Runners retreat, 2 gone.
Yeah, Marisnick gets a nice jump on this baseball. The fielder, to me, goes too far. Didn't allow himself even the opportunity to tag up. I think he sells out thinking Marisnick's not going to get this ball. It's a great job. Very athletic play. Tracking this ball down right before the wall. Typically, you would go about a third of the way off second base. Give yourself time to tag up and get to third if the ball is caught, or score if it's not.
You and I saw Marisnick at Fenway Park on Saturday last week on a ball that David Ortiz hit. Wound up being a triple to tie the game in the 9th. But Marisnick went 150 feet running towards left center and absolutely laid out. Superman dive. Just barely missed what would have been as nice of a catch as there's ever been. But he did miss it, so nobody's ever going to remember the effort.
But you know what? That ball was scalded so hard. It had such action on it. It spun away from him. You know, leave your feet with the tying run on base told me that Jake thought he had it lined up. He was going to catch it. It just almost like a cutter kept working away from him.
Comes a 1-0 to Nomar Mazara. Balls and no strikes.
How about this number on Mike Fiers? 2 outs, runners in scoring position. Hitters are 0-67, just 1 hit allowed in this situation this year. And he's been good in his career in this spot. 168. The ability to make a pitch to get yourself out of trouble.
Falling behind a dangerous hitter in Mazara with 2 on and 2 out. Here's a 2-0. Slicing line drive to center. Marisnick makes another play. And single-handedly helps Mike Fiers get out of this inning with no damage done. Going away to right center to take away a base hit from Andrews. And then coming on to take away a line drive base hit from Mazara. Cesar Ramos to George Springer with ball one in a game. The Rangers lead 2-1. 2, 3, and 4 coming to the plate for the Astros against Ramos. He's given up the solo shot to Gonzalez, but nothing else. That's a base hit into center for Springer to extend his hitting streak to 10 games and leading off this fourth. It remains a 2-1 game because of the defense from Jake Marisnick, who got a great ovation and then got a nice welcome back into the dugout.
I love the reaction from bench coach Trey Hillman. Had the reaction a lot of people in this ballpark had watching his 2 catches. Yeah, wow. Double wow.
Carlos Correa.
I'd like to see him be aggressive right here. Not chase, but certainly keyhole something early in the count.
He takes on the outside corner for a strike. And that is, like you've mentioned, been the adjustment that the league has made to him after he came in and tore things up as a rookie. They've noticed that he's a little bit passive early in counts and have taken a free strike one. Generous outside corner on a 67-mile-per-hour curve.
Yeah, those first 2 takes are classified under the title of good takes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure either one got the plate. Now he's in a position where he has to protect more than the width of the plate.
The league always adjusts, right? The adjustments they're making with him is taking that early strike in the count. And A.J. Hinch saying pounding him inside as well. That fastball up and in.
Let's see if Springer wants to take a chance to get it back. So far, 3 off-speed pitches from Ramos. The runner has not been thrown out stealing against him in 6 years. .24 for 24 since 2010. I think that's because runners are equipped at picking pitches against Ramos. That slow curveball makes it very difficult for a catcher to make up the ground, the time.
Good lead for Springer. Almost checks him back. Astros lead the majors in stolen bases by a wide margin. Unique in that they're a team that relies on the long ball. 6th in the majors in homers. They also lead the majors in steals. Comes a 1-2. Correa cracks his bat on a foul ball. Go get a new piece of lumber.
Yeah, you can blame that bat in the pitch sequencing of Ramos, who's been working away, soft. Watch him now come in. That looked like that changeup. Perhaps the slider just cutting in on his hands. Four-seam, slider, changeup, two-seam, curveball. Likely to see it all. Cesar Ramos.
Correa not a natural pull hitter, and so his teams have started to pound him in more. He's had to adjust to be better at taking those pitches to the pull field.
Pay attention again to Springer right here.
Almost does.
Springer has not had a good percentage stealing bases this year. Has been in the past. A really good athlete. Got every skill you'd want from a baseball player, but base stealing not always about just pure speed. Back to the breaking ball away. Good pitch to run on.
Correa chases after it. Just 68 on the gun. Second K of the game for Ramos. Check in with Kevin Burkhardt now for a game break. All right, Kevin, here's Evan Gattis. Well, the Mets, with that pitching staff so good coming into the year, has not been the same over this last month or so. Getting a win today in walk-off fashion as Gattis looks at a strike.
The same approach here with Gattis. Soft away. Change up to start the at-bat.
On 0-1.
I'm really surprised Springer hasn't taken off in these sequences here.
They're going to be hard to take 67 and turn it around to second to get a good runner in Springer if you're Brian Holiday. He takes off and they've got him picked off.
Obviously, with his low percentage, and that will go down as another caught stealing. Just having a tough time reading pitchers. Had plenty of chances to run, picked the one time. Looked like he almost went first move there. And almost goes to first base.
So the leadoff single wiped off of the board, and 2 away with the bases empty. Ramos to Gattis with a 1-1 pitch. Gattis takes it in the dirt, 2-1. Has a hit in all 4 games since coming back from the minors, where he worked on catching, getting ready to be the backup catcher for this Astros team. Waits on this 2-1 from Ramos. 2-2.
Beautiful changeup. Again, same sequence as what he threw Correa. Curveballs, changeups, all down and away. Throw it again. Now you might be tempted, as he showed Correa that slider in. Like you just said, same thing. A lot of times when the hitter looks away, the pitcher will tell the catcher what pitch he wants to throw. And he wants it. He is going in.
On 2-2, and Gattis fouls it back.
That's what's called an emergency hack. Once again, I mean, this is beautiful pitching by Ramos, just making a hitter so conscious of soft away that you can get the ball in on the hands in this ballpark to a guy like Gattis. I mean, he does everything he can just to get bat on ball. It's terrific pitch sequencing.
It's another 2-2 and a breaking ball outside, full count. Cesar Ramos against Evan Gattis. Colby Rasmus due next. Hoping that Gattis can extend the inning for him. Ramos home with a payoff pitch. And Gattis just barely gets a piece to stay alive.
Gattis probably thinking, what do I need to do to see a fastball? I worked real hard to get to a 3-2 count. Get that changeup. That's the thing about Ramos. This could be a curveball. It could be a changeup. He gets so many weapons he can go on a full count.
Whatever it is, it won't be very fast. 82, and he's guessing wrong.
You saw him shake the fastball to throw the change, put it in perfect spot.
Yeah, back-to-back Ks to finish this 4th inning. Rougned Odor sent to bat 3rd in the next inning for the Rangers, as they try to move to 5-0 on the season against the Astros. Fiers delivers to Ryan Rua, who pops the first pitch into short center field. Jake Marisnick there for the first out. Fiers needs just one pitch to get the 8-hitter. Brings up Brian Holiday. Came over last season at the deadline with Carlos Gomez. And who would have thought at the time of that deal that Mike Fiers would be the more productive of the two? Fiers had the no-hitter that he tossed a few weeks after they acquired him. Had an ERA around 3 in his first season in Houston, and almost by default he's been better this year, with Carlos Gomez struggling the way that he has. 0-1 to Holiday.
Fiers is a guy, he's got some deception in that delivery. By the way, he mentioned that when he threw that no-hitter, he was very proud of the fact that Nolan Ryan was on hand in the house to see that one. See that delivery, the way I call it a javelin approach to throwing the baseball. With the glove real high, the shoulder angle is extreme, taking the ball really low and far behind him. When he throws, watch the extreme angle of his shoulders. To me, reminiscent of a Hall of Famer, Jim Palmer. Now you watch the delivery here, watch how low the ball gets, and the glove hand gets so high. And there's the master. Nobody did it better than Jim Palmer. And you can do that. See the similarities right there?
Oh.
And a very similar style of pitching. I'm not saying he has Palmer's stuff, but the ability to throw the four-seam fastball high in the zone and back that up with the big curveball. Jim Palmer, Mike Fiers, very similar MO.
Jim Palmer working in the TV booth with the Orioles these days.
He still looks like he can pitch.
Yeah. Comes Fiers with a 2-2. Holiday pulls a breaking ball inside of third. That's a base hit. Kicks off of the angled sidewall in front of Rasmus. Holiday on his way to second with a double.
Now this is reminiscent of Fenway Park, where the foul stands jut out and the shortstop has to run over to this ball on that exact same scenario where the ball kicks back toward the infield. Shortstop cannot give up on balls down the line. You're thinking this ball is going into the corner. Most parks it will. In Fenway and Minute Maid Park, no. You see the ball kick back. You see Rasmus has to change his route, so Correa will learn, if he hasn't already, he's got to go after that ball, thinking, especially with a slow runner, you might have a shot at second base.
Holiday is now 2 for 2 with a pair of doubles. He scored on Rougned Odor's single after the first one. And here's Odor with one gone in the 5th. How about the footwork by the ball boy down there, calmly stepping out of the way? It's like he'd done it before.
Dancing with the stars.
Now the Rangers have nicknamed their 21-year-old Nomar Mazara the Big Chill. I think that kid's deserving of that nickname, the way he slid out of the way. Check swing, strike one. Look at this, doesn't even flinch. Little stutter step, knows the way the wall plays.
Nick Lentz, third base umpire, with some nice footwork.
CB Buckner calling balls and strikes tonight. He has been behind the plate for more of Mike Fiers' outings than any umpire. Comes an 0-1 to Rougned Odor. Cuts it inside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Fiers almost pitching into the shift by that cutter in on his hands. Still think if he tries to go away to Odor, Odor can take advantage of that shift with a runner on second base.
Line to second, Altuve's got it for out number 2. Wanted to go to second, but nobody was there to take the throw. With Holiday caught off of the bag, back in safely.
Bullet right into the shift. Now let's see if Fire is a master at getting out of these situations. 2 outs, runner in scoring position. Sticks to the game plan on Desmond. Everything down and away.
That's what he did his last time up there and struck him out to finish the 3rd inning. Castro setting away and missing a little bit low.
You're watching Desmond hit. You'll watch him grip the bat. He has a very strong right-hand grip on the bat. Almost an over grip. It's very unusual to have such a strong top hand grip. And I asked him about that. And he basically said, hey, that's just how I hit. I've always hit that way. There's no reason for it. I just hit this way. In fact, his mother sent a picture. I think the Rangers were looking for a youth picture of Ian to put in a magazine. His mother sent the Rangers a picture of Ian when he was 10 years old, had the same exact grip. He said everything was exactly the same as how I hit now.
You say, don't make me overthink it, Tom. Right? Just never want to think too much about the mechanics of it. Tries to lay off a fastball that was up, but couldn't. Says Field and Colbert down at first, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, big call right there. I think he did swing. Nothing changes a count more than whether the 1-1 pitch is ball or strike. Rule of thumb, if that barrel crosses the angle where the foul line is, the base umpire will call it a swing.
Fires has had a bit of a tough time putting hitters away with 2 strikes so far. 3 of the 5 hits have come with 2 strikes. And he has Desmond 1-2 with a runner at second and 2 gone in the 5th.
See that strong top hand? Well, most players will have that bat across basically where the fingers meet the palm of the hand, not have it so far back in the palm the way that Ian does.
Fire's got him. Mixing his pitch as well. And like you said, Tom, living over that outer part to Desmond. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Samsung and the Galaxy S7 Edge. Follow live baseball with the MLB.com and Bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live video game highlights, and plenty more. It's the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. Colby Rasmus to lead off the 5th inning for the Astros. They trail 2-1 against Cesar Ramos. Misses downstairs with ball 1. Rasmus is 0 for 1. Flied to left his first time. White and Gonzalez to follow in this inning. One ball and 1 strike. Ramos only making his 3rd start of the season for Texas. Part of a rotation, at least right now, that has been a big part of the reason the Rangers have been as good as they have. This rotation is number 2 in the American League. Only the White Sox have a better earned run average, and that is without Yu Darvish, who's due back sometime as early as next weekend. Ramos home with a 2-1. 3 balls and a strike. We check in with JP.
Yeah, Joe, Darvish is scheduled to make another rehab start tomorrow. Now, if everything goes well in that game, the Rangers tentatively plan for him to make his season debut on Saturday night, which of course means someone is coming out of the rotation. Based on Ramos's outing today, guys, he may keep his spot, and Derek Holland, his spot, may be in jeopardy.
Ramos walks Rasmus to begin this 5th inning.
Well, it's really important, obviously, to get Darvish back. He's such a good pitcher, but also because this team is last in the league in strikeouts. And Derek Holland has had a tough time putting hitters away. Very strange to see his stuff drop off where he's not been as much of a strikeout pitcher this year as he has in the past.
He is the only guy, though, in the Texas rotation that's been below league average thus far. Got an ERA well above 5. Everybody else has been pretty darn good. Here's Tyler White. Ground out to short his first time. Strike 1. Cole Hamels, while he has not been perfect lately, still hasn't lost since his first decision in a Rangers uniform early on last year after the deal. It's 11 consecutive wins for Cole Hamels. Colby Lewis, fantastic again last night. 7 shutout innings. He's gone 6+ in all 9 starts. He's gone at least 7 in his last 5 starts for the Rangers.
But Joe, his command last night was impeccable. He didn't throw a single pitch over the heart of the plate. Everything on the corners, both sides of the plate. He is dialed in. He had a very adventurous night, though, last night, Joe. It wasn't just his pitching.
Yeah.
Like the first thing I did when I saw him today was ask him, "How are you feeling?" He said, "Fine." Like nothing happened. Well,
yeah, how are you, Tom?
Not every day you get hit in the head with a 101-mile-per-hour line drive.
And then stay in the game. I know it deflected off his shoulder blade, but still. Made just a fantastic defensive play as well. So he got the win in that 2-1 decision for the Rangers. 2-1 pitch. And White skies it back at the plate. Holiday over to give it a look. Runs out of room. So it was an eventful night for Colby Lewis. Has had an eventful career with the 7 shutout innings. Dealing through that Astros lineup. Also included some fantastic defense. Look at this play. And then that's what you're talking about. They still converted it into an out. Off his shoulder blade, off his head, into a pop-up into center field that Rougned Odor caught.
Stayed in the game, got the next couple outs, no problem.
White down swinging. Ramos has his 4th punch out and has his first out of the 5th inning.
I can't believe he didn't go down. I can't believe he stayed in the game. I mean, that is scorch. Well, you mentioned it. Colby Lewis has been through a lot in his career. I mean, I don't know how many different kinds of surgeries he's had. Starting from the time he was 16, he had Tommy John surgery at 16.
Pitched in Japan for a couple of years. Credits his start this year to his off-season cycling routine. He dropped about 25 pounds. He's in really good shape. Pretty nimble on that play where he flipped it with his glove to first. Gonzalez had a solo shot back in the third, counting for the Astros scoring in this game. Represents the go-ahead run against Ramos here in the fifth.
Now, that was a really interesting sequence because I think he has to stay down and away on Gonzalez. Holliday called for the throw over to first base and set up inside. A lot of times a hitter on a throw to first might peek a little bit. Where is the catcher setting up? Holliday tried to deke him. He wasn't going to throw the pitch, but Holliday said, well, just in case he takes a peek, I'm going to set up in, make him think in. I think everything's going to be down and away here. Cat and mouse game.
That's where he sets. That's where he goes. But a bouncer to third for Beltre. There's one. There's two. Odor with a leaping throw over the clean slide from Rasmus. They go around the horn for a double play to finish this fifth inning. 5, 4, 3. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Falken Tires on the pulse. Turn to that double play to finish the last inning with flair like only Rougned Odor can give. Strike one to Prince Fielder.
Joe, he stuck the landing,
yeah,
and the Russian judge only gave him a 9-6. Come on! I mean, check out the acrobatics. Stick the landing, Rougned, and hold the pose. Love it.
Such life in the way he plays the game. Comes 1-1 to Fielder. It's a fastball up, 2-1. For last year, Rougned Odor started the season as the opening day second baseman for the Rangers, but hit below 200. They sent him down to the minors. And after But a month down there after his call-up was one of the best hitting second basemen in the game. They hope providing the blueprint for Delino DeShields Jr., who also got off to a miserable start this year and was sent down to AAA to try and figure some things out. Expect him to be back at some point following the lead that Lindor set last year. Bouncing ball into the shift. Correa on the first base side of the bag throws fielder out. Adrian Beltre is 0 for 2. He's grounded to short and struck out against Fiers. 1 of 5 Ks so far for the right-hander.
Did you see Adrian there? He asked for the ball to be taken out of play. It's really interesting. Any pitch that comes in that scrapes the dirt a little bit, automatically the catcher doesn't even ask for the umpire. And he'll throw it. The catcher will throw it out himself. But on ground balls, nobody asks for the ball. Well, Adrian Beltre has been around the block a couple of times. He said, "Get rid of that ball."
Thought being that ball gets scuffed up some, gets a little extra movement.
Exactly.
There's an 0-1. Beltre pulls a line drive into the gap, a base hit. Marisnick over to cut it off. Beltre throws on the brakes. Whoa, back to first safely. Barely kept his balance on that wide turn.
I think he's got to check the rotors and brake pads, because that took a while to come to a halt. But I did love the way he busted it out of the batter's box. He was thinking about 2 as soon as he gets out of the box. Watch this. So Odor not breaking it down like this. Now he's going to pick up the ball. Do I still have it? No. Fred Flintstone couldn't have done it any better. Check those brakes, Adrian. That man has fun playing baseball.
Yeah. In turn, it sure is fun watching him play. There's Mitch Moreland. Got hit by pitches last time. And fifth one to third technically. That's Marwin Gonzalez making the play for the second out. Time for a game break. Hello again, Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin, Giants trying to get a new winning streak going. They had won 8 in a row before Arrieta shut them down last night. Trying to make some sense of what is a muddled picture in the National League West. Elvis Andrus 1 for 2. His solo home run began the scoring in the second. He then lined out to deep center in the fourth. The home run was his first of the season. Cast brought to you by Amazon.
355 feet. See the exit velocity there at 92. That's pretty low for a home run.
I was thinking the same thing. I wonder where that ranks. You know, we talk about the hardest hit home runs. A lot of them are Giancarlo Stanton. I wonder where that 92 ranks as far as the softest hit home runs.
Yeah, the major league average is in the high 80s, so that's not much above average exit velocity.
Right, for any batted ball.
For any batted ball. Home runs, as you said, typically in the hundreds. You know, one thing we've learned from StatCast is that some of those longest home runs, many of them by Giancarlo Stanton, have come off speed pitches. You know, there's always that saying in the game, well, the faster it comes in, the faster it goes out. Well, guess what? That's not true, because the hanging off speed pitch gets hit farther a lot of times than a fastball.
Off speed there that he chases, and it's 2-2.
It's probably the best cutter he's thrown tonight. This is over the plate out of his hand, and watch it just dive and disappear.
Flyers trying to pitch around the 1-out single from Beltre in a 2-1 game in the 6th. Elvis Andrus Shoots one over first. That's a foul ball, just barely.
Wow, the Rangers, I think they're going to take a look at this. You know, and Elvis is running right down the line, so he's got to look at it. He's not closer to the ball than umpire Fielding Culbreth, but he's looking down the line himself. Talk to the replay guy back in the clubhouse. Should we challenge this one? That's a foul ball.
Fielding Culbreth was right on it.
Fielding Culbreth had a lot of help on this call. Astros are helping him. Rangers are helping him.
Andrews trying to help him, but in the wrong direction. Jeff Bannister comes back. They looks like will not challenge. Good job by our crew getting it dialed in, and
Great shot.
Shot's barely foul. And so 2-2 on Andrews with a runner at first and 2 gone in the 6th. Left it up, fouled back.
I'm not going to go against my guy, Fielding Culbreth. He was my mentor. I actually umpired a game in spring training. 3 innings at first, 3 at second, 3 at third. And I spent a week before that getting a crash course. 1 week of umpire training. And Fielding Culbreth was one of the guys, Tim Tashida being another one, who were gracious enough to teach me how to be an umpire in 1 week.
How nervous were you?
I was very nervous when I was umpiring second base with a runner on first. You get into the middle of the infield, right behind the mound. Manny Ramirez was batting. And my first thought was, I'm not wearing a protective cup. And the umpires will tell you the worst thing for them is to get hit with the baseball. You know, whether it's down the line or certainly at second base. And all I could think of was, oh my goodness, I am so close to Manny Ramirez. If he scorches one up the middle, I don't want to get hit. So that was my thought. Not about getting the call right, about surviving.
Where did he go with it? Did he?
Thankfully, not my area. But I can tell you, being on the field, the speed of the game is what really strikes you. Everything is so much faster. Ball off the bat, the pitches, the runner's speed. Everything is a lot faster ground level than it is up here in the stands. I came away with that with a greater appreciation for the job all these umpires do. How good they are, how much they care about trying to be perfect. What a job, huh? Your job is to be perfect. And the minute you make a mistake, everybody knows about it.
It's the only time they notice you. 8th pitch of the at-bat is upstairs, and the count goes full. That means Beltre will get a head start from first. Nomar Mazara do next.
The other thing I learned, Joe, from Fielding actually was umpires are so good in part because they're able to get themselves in position almost like a camera on a tripod. In other sports, football and basketball, you're making calls while moving. And you saw Fielding get himself in position, steady eyes, steady head to make the call. He said that's one reason why umpires get calls right basically 99% of the time. They get themselves in position and set to see the play. Positioning is huge for umpires.
There goes Beltre on strike 3. Got him with a fastball. So what looked like was nearly a double for Andrus and might have scored Beltre from first winds up being a strikeout. 6th of the game for Fiers. 2-1. Strike one from Cesar Ramos to Jason Castro. 8-9-1 in the Astros order coming up here in the 6th. Houston has managed only 2 hits. One of them was a Marwin Gonzalez homer. The score is 2-1. Big breaking ball misses inside. 1-1. 31 years old out of Los Angeles. 8th major league season. It's been almost exclusively out of the bullpen. 257th game, only his 13th start. Castro on the air to left, Ryan Rua.
Well, we saw Fiers with that long arm swing. Well, this is the complete opposite. Watch, this ball will not get below his waist. This is the ultimate short arm pitcher. And that's why he can throw a fastball at 89. And as he told me, hitters will tell him, hey, your fastball gets on me. What's going on? Well, he's got such a short arm swing. That's why it gets on hitters. The amazing thing, Joe, is that he did not throw that way. He had a regular long arm swing at Long Beach State when he was drafted in the 1st round by the San Diego Padres. He got traded to the Tampa Bay Rays and worked out of the bullpen a lot. And he said in his eagerness to get himself ready coming out of the bullpen, get ready quickly in the bullpen, his arm swing would shorten up. And it just became now his natural way of throwing. I've never heard of anything like that where a pitcher just made such, and that's a big change. A much shorter arm swing on the fly after you got to the major leagues. Well, it's working for him today.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Marisnick. And this was a guy that was a 1st round pick out of Long Beach State by the Padres. 2 seasons there in San Diego. You mentioned the trade to Tampa Bay. Was traded from the Rays to the Angels for last season and then signed on a minor league contract by the Rangers this offseason. After what was one of the best seasons of his career out of the Angels bullpen last year. Career high 65 games last year, all out of the bullpen. This is only his 13th career major league start, 257 games. It's 2-2. Count goes full.
Looking for his 1st major league win in a year and a week. Of course, a lot of times being used out of the bullpen, he's not in position to get decisions. That's, again, one reason he chose Texas was to start.
Marisnick has been splendid defensively tonight. Back-to-back plays back in the 4th inning, taking away hits and saving a run. Struck out his first time against Ramos, and at the plate this year, 4 for 39. Chopper to third, Adrian Beltre. 2 up, 2 down. On Monday, it's an American League West battle again. Mike Trout and the Angels against these Rangers in a game you can see only on FS1, all starting at 7:30 Eastern. You can also watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Angels getting it going some over the last week plus. After a rough first month plus of the season. Tim Lincecum back to the top of the Houston order. Jose Altuve.
He's due. He's 0 for 2.
I know. What's wrong with him? Ball 1. Number 1 in the American League in just about every offensive category. Trying to extend a 12-game hitting streak. On 1-0, Altuve takes ball 2. Here, Jackie Bradley Jr. extended his to 27 today. 26.
Yeah. 75th anniversary of Joe D's streak started this month. 1941.
Jackie Bradley Jr. is now 8 shy of the Boston record. Dom DiMaggio. 2-1 on Altuve. Altuve only 5'6", with the kind of pop that could tie it with one swing. He works ahead into a hitter's count, 3-1.
And you know, he's in the company of very few men. Shortest players to hit 15 home runs in a season. Well, when you have black and white pictures to go by, you know it's been a long time. Hack Wilson, of course, is a lot more than 15 in a season, but it shows you the rarity of someone at that height hitting even 15 home runs in the big leagues. And I asked Jose about Hack Wilson. Have you ever heard of Hack Wilson? He said, no, but I'm not good with names. But I did ask him where the power was coming from, and he said it's all about being more selective. He can hit any pitch. The key is to hit a good pitch. You see him get into a hitter's count there, and Ramos still goes soft on him on 3-1. He has really cut down on his chase rate this year.
On 3-2, Altuve fouls it off.
This is a guy last year, sorry, Joe, he's gone from 36% to 25% swing at pitches out of the zone. That is a huge adjustment in 1 year's time. And that's where the power comes from. But I think against Ramos, doesn't matter what the count is.
Yeah.
You don't know what to expect.
Walks have gone up. The homers have gone up. Another 3-2. He has more hits than any player in baseball since he debuted. So being a true hitter has never been a problem, but he's continued to add layers to his game year after year. 2 years ago, he won a batting title, and he's only gotten better since.
This at-bat could go on for a while. Because it's tough to get this guy to swing and miss, especially on soft stuff.
Curveball lifted in the air to left center. Rua is there, and he misjudged it, but made the play. Makes a snow cone catch to finish a 1-2-3 sixth inning. And it remains 2-1 Texas. That last play in left field where Ryan Rua badly misjudged the fly ball off of the bat of Jose Altuve. And Jeff Bannister talking with home plate umpire C.B. Buckner, not happy with the lack of timeliness on that challenge. And they have confirmed the call. Let's see here, they give a pump of the fist. It was a good catch, but not by a lot.
No, I understand the challenge here. It's the sixth inning. You haven't used it yet. But I didn't think they were going to overturn it. It looks like the glove did get under it. I think A.J. Hinch thought perhaps this ball grazes the ground before he has control of it. I don't think so. But Joe, the thing to remember here is that Rule lost this ball off the bat. And this has happened here quite a bit in this ballpark. They installed new LED lights here, 400 new lights here. They're a lot brighter. I think there's 6 or 7 ballparks now that have gone in direction of LED lights. They're much more efficient, about 62% more efficient on the energy run. But the outfielders have had a difficult time because the lights are so bright. George Springer alone in the first 2 weeks of the season had trouble. 4 different balls got caught in the lights that he either had to adjust on or lost completely.
Rangers getting ready to bat with a 2-1 lead. Time for tonight's game summary, sponsored by Budweiser. Astros in danger of losing a 3rd consecutive 2-1 decision if it were to remain like this. Andrews with his first home run of the season. That started the scoring in the 2nd. They added one on an Odor single in the 3rd. And the lone run for Houston came on a solo shot from Marwin Gonzalez in the 3rd inning. Bottom 3rd of the Texas order. Nomar Mazara is 0 for 2 today with a ground out and a line out. As Mazara gets ready to bat, we go to JP.
Yeah, Joe, Tom mentioned Mazara's nickname earlier in the show, the Big Chill. Where it comes from, well, he's got that intelligence, he's got the calmness about him, the maturity. And when I spoke with Nomar today, he really credited his parents, Ramon and Yanira, for instilling that sense of respect in him. His father, in fact, guys, Ramon is a retired general in the Dominican Republic's Navy. Nomar told me he didn't really realize how special his dad's job was. Of course, he went to Japan on one assignment until maybe he was about 10 or 12 years old. Then he realized exactly what it was his dad was doing.
He's only 21 now, JP, youngest player in the majors, just turned 21 in late April on the 26th. He was called up a few days into the season when Shin-Soo Choo went down with a calf injury after a total of 23 career games at the AAA level. Swings over the top of a breaking ball, and it's 0-2.
I talked to John Daniels, the general manager of the Rangers in spring training, about this guy Mazara, and he did mention that the parents did a great job raising him. You know, that nickname, the Big Chill, is because of the calmness on the field, just the self-assuredness he has at such a young age. Signed at 16, so a massive bonus, the biggest at the time. And he is not disappointed. This was a guy they expected could come quickly because of the makeup, not just the skills, but the makeup.
Leading off the 7th against Fires. He's given up the 2 runs on 6 Rangers hits so far. Fires back with an 0-2. Zara goes up the ladder to foul it off.
I admitted when I heard his dad was an officer in the Dominican Navy, I knew nothing, even that there was a Dominican Navy.
Yeah,
it began in 1844 when they gained their independence with 3 schooners. Now they have 33 ships and about 4,000 personnel.
And now you know.
They also have an armed forces and an air force, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, I was.
You can sleep better tonight.
1-2.
Well, one thing Jeff Bannister told us, he's just loved the quality of bats he's seen from Mazara, and you're seeing it right here. He's worked himself back to an even count with 2 really good takes. And the thing I always look for is how, and I'm sure pitchers do, how a hitter not just swings, but when he doesn't swing, how does he take? He's taking 2 fastball and an off-speed pitch right there on balance, seeing the ball very well.
Came up, hit 2nd right away. Started hitting 3rd last week, with Fielder moving down to 5th and Desmond up into the 2 spot for the last couple games. Down in the bottom 3rd of the order. Breaking ball hit on the ground to second for Altuve. Nazar is retired, 1 away in the 7th inning, and up comes Ryan Rua. And an adventure out there in left field to finish the bottom of the 6th inning, and a ball hit by Altuve. It looked like Rua's time as an everyday player had come to a close, at least for the time being, with Chu's return, but as soon as Chu came back, right back on the shelf, at least today, with a hamstring pull. So Rua back starting in left field. It was vacated initially by Chu's injury, and then DeShields getting sent down to AAA. So Desmond moved from left to center, opening the door for Rua. 2-0.
By the way, besides the new lights here, you would enjoy this, I'm sure. They have a lot of new food items in the ballpark here.
What do we got?
Goat cheese gnocchi.
That's not me. Not
with lamb bacon and heirloom tomatoes and basil.
Did you try it?
Not just any tomatoes, heirloom tomatoes.
Right.
See the pop-up?
Got it.
And it used to be you came to the ballpark for what?
Hot dog?
Maybe popcorn?
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's a veritable feast now.
Yeah. That's not my kind of dish, though. I'm okay with a hot dog. And so what was this dish? What was the base of the dish?
Goat cheese gnocchi, and it comes with lamb bacon, not just any bacon, lamb bacon, and heirloom tomatoes. I want to know what an heirloom tomato is.
It sounds fancy. I think.
I know it's expensive. You can charge more for an heirloom tomato, but what makes a tomato an heirloom?
It's passed down.
I don't want a passed down tomato. I want a fresh tomato.
You're going to pay less for it, even, it sounds like. Going on Brian Holiday. Too much stuff going on in that dish.
Well, I'll tell you, there's no reason to come to a ballpark full these days. You basically starve yourself before you get here.
Here to left, Colby Rasmus is there to end a 1-2-3 7th inning. Astros coming to bat. This guy will bat next inning. Who in the world is that? I'll tell you when we come back in a 2-1 game. So this is before the game today during Stretch and BP and that dinosaur suit. George Springer keeping things light for the Astros. He's playing football in the dinosaur suit and leads off the bottom of this 7th inning against a new pitcher for the Texas Rangers. It's one of the more interesting stories in sports right now. Matt Bush, the #1 overall pick in the 2004 draft as a shortstop for the San Diego Padres, converted to pitcher, several run-ins with the law, over a decade winding through the minors of different systems. Most recently served a 34-month prison sentence for a drunk driving incident that nearly killed a man in Florida a few years back. Got out of prison last fall and was signed by the Rangers, making his big league debut within the last couple of weeks.
Just a truly amazing story. A 30-year-old rookie. You mentioned he just got out of prison last year, the end of the year. You can see the velocity there at 97. You know, Jeff Bannister told me this is a guy who potentially can close games because he has that kind of stuff. And as he put it, based on what Matt Bush has been through, not scared in any situation. That ball is by Springer. Really good fastball hitter. And yet the challenge fastball is by Springer.
And he uses the fastball at 97 to get George Springer one away.
That is so well executed. The fastball up with 2 strikes to get the chase swing. Too many pitchers have the ball too high where a hitter doesn't see it as a strike. Springer reads that as a strike, and there's no way you're catching up to that. Any higher, it's an easy take. At that level, it's a swing, an anxious swing with 2 strikes, but no chance of contact with the velocity and placement.
I gets Carlos Correa. He was 0 for 2 today with a flyout and a strikeout against Ramos. Goes after a fastball at 98 for strike 1. And not just a guy in there throwing heat with a good story, but a much needed flamethrower on the back end of this bullpen that has been by far the worst in the American League, second worst in the majors. Only bullpen that's been worse has been historically bad up in Cincinnati. Bush giving him another late innings option. Snaps off at off speed. My goodness, combining that with 98.
That's just unfair. Not too many times you'll see Correa get off balance, but that'll do it to you. 98 on the block to start out the at bat, and then the nasty breaking ball. Yeah, that's closer stuff.
On 0-2. Back to it and got it. Back-to-back Ks to start the 7th. Yesterday, J.P. Morosi had a chance to talk with Matt Bush.
So, Matt, at this time last year, what were you doing?
Shoot, this time last year, not a whole lot. Obviously in a bad place, serving my time for my crime, and definitely couldn't imagine, you know, sitting here right now talking to you, being in the major leagues. That's for sure.
What was your daily routine like at that point?
Get up pretty early, eat breakfast, come back to the dorm, get a little workout in, push-ups, squats, depending on the day. Get ready to go out to the yard and get some sun and get a nice sweat in and continue working out. Had a job that I was working, and you know, that was it. Just little things throughout the day. Maybe catch a little bit of TV, read a book, simple things.
Remarkable story of Matt Bush. He's ready for a 1-1 to Evan Gattis. Pretty darn good story himself. A fastball outside, and it's 2-1. You know, Bush mentioned the job that he had for the final 8.5 months that he was serving that prison sentence. He had work release, a job at the Golden Corral. And it was while he was working there that he got connected with Roy Silver, who's part of the Rangers organization. And they used to go out in the parking lot. Silver would put on the full gear, and Bush was pitching to him. At first, it started off as a relationship where they thought they might have a spot for Bush just to keep him involved in baseball. But once they went out in that parking lot and saw what you're seeing right now, the 98-mile-per-hour fastball, the sharp slider, turned the attention from a position with the organization to a spot playing with the Rangers. They signed him. He's made the team, made the big league roster here in May.
Joe, this is more than just a live arm. What he has shown us this inning is next level stuff. The ability, as we saw behind on the count, the 2-1 breaking ball, to throw it for a strike and get a swing and a miss. That's elite stuff he's got on the mound. You saw the reaction from Gaddis. Again, that's 98 down, 3-2 fastball count, and he beats Gaddis with that. Now, if he throws the breaking ball here, Gaddis will not have a chance.
Overthrows a fastball. It puts Gaddis aboard to keep the 7th inning going. A couple of amazing redemption stories facing off there in Matt Bush, and reference Evan Gaddis' story. He spent almost 5 years away from baseball after he finished high school, battling substance abuse, anxiety issues, moved all over the country. Baseball is an afterthought. Eventually took it up again at a Division II school. Got drafted in the late rounds by the Braves. Made his big league debut a few years back. Traded to the Astros. Led him in homers and RBIs last year. Solidified his spot on the roster. Matt Bush well on his way to doing the same with Texas. Colby Rasmus taking ball 1 from Bush. He was the first overall pick in 2004. How young he looks there. Shortstop.
They always knew he had a good arm. As you said, drafted as a shortstop. The arm stood out even at that position.
Got Brocail out to talk with him. Number 2 pick in that draft, by the way, Justin Verlander. After the Padres took Bush. Converted to pitcher a few years after they drafted him. Some part hitting as a shortstop, so they moved him to pitcher. Had to go through Tommy John surgery before he was traded to Toronto and eventually to the Rays. 1 ball and 1 strike on Rasmus. He was with Toronto during spring training in 2009, was Bush. Never even played in a game in that system because of another run-in with the law. They released him at the end of spring training. He spent all of 2009 out of baseball before the Rays signed him in 2010. There's 1-1 to Rasmus. He's fouled off, and it's 1-2.
And I like what Jeff Bannister told me. You know, obviously knowing that history you just referenced, but he said there's not a manager in baseball that would not want this man on their team. And he was not talking about the stuff that he's showcasing here. The makeup, the lessons learned. He's had multiple chances, and hopefully this one he's getting right.
Gaddis at first with 2 gone. Now Bush delivers 1-2. Try to get him to climb the ladder after a fastball. Rasmus lays off. The walk to Gaddis, by the way, only the second base runner that Matt Bush has allowed. The other one, Jose Bautista, who he hit on Sunday afternoon, putting Bautista on base right before the ground out that led to the slide that led to the punch.
So you're saying he has good control?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That ball's pulled into right, a base hit for Rasmus. Gaddis first to third, and the Astros put the tying run 90 feet away in the 7th.
Well, that was just a matter of not executing the pitch. Wasn't a bad decision to go to the breaking ball, but with 2 strikes, he's going to leave it up. You see Rasmus gets the foot down, but kept his hands back, just waited, and because that pitch is up and in, he was able to get a good look at it and put a good swing on it. We saw Tyler White early in this game take a chance swinging at a first pitch, which he rarely does. Wouldn't be surprised to see him sit on first pitch fastball here and try to ambush Matt Bush.
7 homers this year for White. 3 came in the first week of the season. 2 came on Tuesday, both against Carlos Rodon of Chicago. At the corners, 2 out in the 7th. The first one from Bush. He did go after it, but it rode in on his hands. Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's what happens a lot. When you do make up your mind, first pitch fastball swing, a lot of guys will swing, even if it's not a strike. Curtis Granderson is the best in baseball at keyholing and not getting out of that keyhole. Granderson doesn't often swing at first pitches. When he does, it's right down the middle. That was a ball.
On a 1. Right back to it. Just misses. Jeff Bannister saying Matt Bush slowly earning himself some higher leverage situations. Well, here he's put himself into one with men at the corners. A walk to Gaddis, a single for Rasmus. A tying run at third for the Astros with 2 gone in the 7th. Bounced to short. Andrus has it. Matt Bush out of the inning. A pair of 2 out base runners, but no damage done. And the Rangers remain in front 2-1. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Lowe's. Hurry in for Memorial Day savings. And by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. 2-1 game, top of the 8th inning in Houston. Rangers trying to move to 5-0 on the season against the Astros. Ken Giles into the game after a nightmarish debut month with Houston, where he had an ERA above 9 in April. He's been much better in May, giving up just 1 run this month.
Premium stuff. 2 pitches, upper 90s fastball, and a good slider.
Rougned Odor greets him by taking a fastball, strike 1.
Ken Giles is here because last year in the postseason division series, Houston had a lead in every game and still lost to Kansas City. Why? Not enough velocity out of the bullpen.
Came over from the Phillies. The Astros traded a lot to get him. And most people assume that he would be the closer, but has been in a setup role. Quick work of Odor. 1 gone here in the 8th inning as we check in again with Kevin Burkhardt. All right, Kev, Marlins trying to snap a 3-game skid, trying to snap the Nationals' 3-game winning streak as Ian Desmond stands in. Yeah, looks at a heater at 98, strike 1. We mentioned that folks just kind of assumed Giles would be the guy in the 9th inning. Luke Gregerson has maintained that spot, even though he's had 3 blown saves in his last 4 tries. Giles 0-1. Fastball swung on and missed, nothing in 2.
Same script, different pitcher, same script, keeping the ball away from Ian Desmond. There's Gregerson. Got less margin of error because he doesn't throw as hard. Slider, sinker ball specialist.
6 pitches and 2 strikeouts.
You want swing and miss stuff? Oh, here it is. There's no chance. Upstairs at 97. This is a case now with Fielder hitting, 2 outs, bases empty, where you might see him come out of his shoes swinging. You know, he's a different hitter with the bases empty. Runners on base, he's got a knack for getting him in because he'll shorten up, go the other way. Base is empty. That's when you'll see him get that high launch angle swing, the high finish with 2 hands, the recoil, the power swing.
Slices one towards the left field corner for Rasmus to run down. That is an impressive 1-2-3 inning for Ken Giles. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. And by T-Mobile, ditch your carrier and switch to the Un-carrier. Back in Houston where the Rangers lead 2-1. Astros managing only 3 hits so far tonight. MLB.TV Premium is the #1 live streaming sports service, delivering everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. You can visit MLB.TV for details. Jake Diekman pitched a scoreless 8th inning last night. He's on to try and protect the 2-1 lead tonight.
We talked at the top. If you like velocity, it was not your matchup of starting pitchers, but it's our 3rd straight relief pitcher we'll see in the game. We'll bring it up there at 97. Diekman does it with a 2-seamer, crackling sinker low, a nasty slider he likes to work to his glove side, into righties, away from lefties.
Marwin Gonzalez will face him, and in 3 at-bats in his career against Diekman has fanned all 3 times. His solo home run in the 3rd, accounting for the Astros scoring. In danger of losing a 3rd consecutive 2-1 game. It would be their 5th consecutive loss by just 1 run. It would tie them for the most 1-run losses in the majors this year with 10. A.J. Hinch has said that they've played just well enough to lose by a little. Too many times over the first month plus of this season. They sit at 17-26. They're above 500 in May, but they were an American League Worst 7-17 in April. Didn't even win back-to-back games until the calendar turned to May. Gregerson getting ready for the 9th.
And I'll go farther back, Joe. I mean, this team had an amazing start to April of last year. The last 170 games, they're 85-95. They're 10 games under more than a year of baseball. You know, they jumped out quickly, almost analogous to what the Chicago White Sox have done. That carried them into the playoffs. Got in with 86 wins.
Gonzalez waves after it, strike 3. Now 0 for 4 with 4 Ks against Diekman.
Yeah, it doesn't matter whether you're right-handed or left-handed. The way that Diekman throws, it looks like he's going to fire the ball into the first base dugout with the crossfire delivery. Throws over the front leg, and that big long wingspan that he has slingshots the ball.
And as bad as his Rangers pen has been, Diekman has not been the problem. 2.35 ERA for him, but as a staff, the bullpen over 5.5 with the earned run average.
Well, I'll tell you the problem, Joe. These guys are pitching too much. This is a typical Rangers game where they don't add on runs and give their winning pieces in the bullpen, the arms you use when you have a lead or want to protect the tie, a break. I mean, Diekman, Dyson, Burnett, these guys are on pace to pitch half the games of the year. They can't obviously all pitch 80 games.
Castro just fooled right there.
But that's what I would worry about if I were Bannister. The fact that, you know, you might get to August and September. As much as you like these arms, they might be gassed by then.
A lot of people thought it would be a strength this year, this bullpen. After all, it was so good down the stretch last year with the acquisitions of Dyson and Diekman. Miserable out of the gates this year, though. Castro down on strikes. Back-to-back Ks to start the 8th inning for Diekman. Grip the Moment, sponsored by Falcon Tires, the official tire of Major League Baseball. It is only a 2-1 game still because of the defense from Jake Marisnick on back-to-back plays in the 4th.
First and second, 1 out. They say the pitcher's best friend is a double play. In this case, it's center fielder Jake Marisnick with 2 terrific catches on the run.
And here he is with the bases empty and 2 gone. 0 for 2 today, 4 for 40 this year.
Low strike. It's just nasty.
Two-seamer 97 at the knees.
Coming in with a fastball on 0-2.
Sometimes the way you're built as a pitcher affects how you throw. Pedro Martinez had those long, flexible fingers to get the life on the fastball and breaking ball. Diekman, it's those long arms, long levers. I had to ask him. I asked him about where he gets his shirts. He told me not off the rack. Custom made.
Easy play for Nomar Mazara. 1-2-3 inning for Jake Diekman. And we go to the 9th in Houston. Some of the biggest names in soccer converge on the United States for the 100th anniversary of one of the world's biggest tournaments. Coverage of the Copa America begins June 3rd across the networks of Fox Sports. Lou Gregerson on for the 9th inning. Adrian Beltre leads off by taking ball one, replacing Ken Giles, who was splendid. 8 pitches, struck out 2, and then got Prince Fielder to fly to left.
I'll admit I'm perplexed. If I'm managing team, Giles is still in the game after 8 pitches. Now I know some managers don't want their setup guys to sit down and then come back out.
Beltre in the air to right. George Springer has plenty of room for the first out.
But as easily as he got through that inning, 1-2-3 with 8 pitches, surprised Giles is not back out there.
Rangers got their runs in the 2nd and the 3rd today. Solo homer from Andrus, and then an RBI single from Odor. Mitch Moreland is 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a line out. Astros' only run came in a Marwin Gonzalez solo homer in the 3rd. Danger of losing yet another 2-1 game. It would be their 5th consecutive loss, coming by just 1 run. 2-0 on Moreland.
We talked about the margin of error for Gregerson. He's trying to get chases. This stuff's not good enough to beat hitters in the strike zone. So the sinker and the slider tries to start in the zone, move it out. So far, Moreland not biting the first 2 pitches.
On 2-0, Moreland swings over it, strike 1.
And we talked about Giles, the addition of the power arm in the bullpen. Overall, this Astros pitching staff, not a lot of power. Their average fastball velocity, worst in baseball, 90 miles an hour. Major league average now up to about 92.
And there is some thought that that is why they've struggled so much against this Texas team, as free swinging as they are. Not a good matchup for a soft throwing staff.
Well, what they've done is they've placed a lot of emphasis on the metrics, especially spin rates when it comes to breaking balls. You know, McHugh, Feldman fires today. That's just nasty movement right there on the slider.
We get Moreland for the 2nd out of the night. Time now for greater coverage of baseball, sponsored by T-Mobile. So we were tossing around the thought that that 92.1 mile/hour exit velocity on this home run seemed awfully slow. Yep. It's the 5th softest hit home run of the season. The softest came off of Dustin Pedroia's bat at Fenway, and you said, I wonder how many of the softer home runs got out at Fenway. Out of the bottom 5 in exit velocity of home runs this year, 2 are at Fenway, 2 are here. Go figure, with the short porches in left.
Oh, pitchers hate that, don't they?
Yeah.
You get really, that's, I'm not going to say soft contact, but mediocre contact. Right. And you give up a home run?
Yeah.
Tough to live with.
Pedroia over the monster. Andrus into the Crawford boxes.
And that's why, you know, there's talk next year, Joe, about taking away Tal's Hill in center field and moving the center field distance now at 436 down to 409.
Sam Dyson getting ready for the bottom of this 9th inning. There's strike 1 on Andrus.
So for a pitcher, you feel like now at least you have a bailout area. You know, as much as left field takes away from what a pitcher can do, if you can keep the ball in the center of the field as a fly ball pitcher, you got a shot. You might be losing some real estate next year in that regard. I'm a fan of Tal's Hill personally, but I don't have to chase down a fly ball running uphill.
Right.
With a flagpole in play.
Gregerson to Andrus with a 3-1. Andrus hits it foul, 3-2. The Astros in the bottom of the 9th inning will have the top of the order coming up. The best top of the order statistically in the American League this season. Jose Altuve, then George Springer, then Carlos Correa against Sam Dyson, who is only in his 2nd game as the bona fide closer of this Rangers squad. Bouncing ball to short. This is a 1-2-3 inning for Lou Gregerson. On to the bottom of the 9th. Fasten those seatbelts. Altuve, then Springer, then Correa in a 1-run game. Today's Gatorade Frost cool under pressure moments come from this Texas bullpen that has been the biggest problem for the Rangers this year. But for Matt Bush, for Jake Diekman, back-to-back scoreless innings, keeping it a 2-1 game. And really, this is the first time since the beginning of the season that this bullpen has been caught up as far as rest. Sam Dyson comes on. Got the save last night, but had a little bit of wiggle room. Gave up 1 run in the 9th inning, held on 2-1. He has no wiggle room this time.
More power. Again, upper 90s velocity on the fastball. Slider and changeup. So far, you mentioned what a job they've done the last 2 innings. Facing 8 batters, only 4 put the ball in play. It is a strikeout bullpen when they're on point.
And it is the top of the Astros order. Jose Altuve, 9 home runs this year. Bounces the first one back to the mound. Dyson's got it for out number 1.
That's huge. Not just getting any out, but keeping Altuve off first base in a 1-run game with 1 pitch.
So now it's Springer, who's 1 for 3. Springer has 9 home runs this year as well. Dyson has only allowed 1 home run in his 20 innings. Holiday setting down and away. And Springer hitting a big bouncer back to the mound. Dyson on 2 pitches has 2 putouts, 2 gone. And so the Astros are 1 out away from becoming the first American League team since the 1991 Milwaukee Brewers to lose 3 consecutive 2-1 heartbreakers.
It's amazing. They've been playing well recently. The beginning of the streak began with Chris Sale. No shame there. Last 2 nights, Colby Lewis, Cesar Ramos getting the job done.
So Altuve and Springer both bounce back to the mound on the first pitch Dyson throws. And the first pitch to Correa. He swings and shoots it foul. Scott's MLB pitch hit and run, the official youth skills competition of Major League Baseball. Go to pinchhitrun.com for more.
The no doubles defense in Desmond in center field is almost on Tal's Hill, making sure nothing gets over his head.
0-1, Correa fouls it off. Astros down to their final strike.
See, he goes slider right here. Correa's had a look at 2 heaters just to get him off the fastball, get a breaking ball out of the zone.
After an eventful 9th last night, it's been breezy so far. And he misses off of the outside edge, ball 1.
That was the changeup. Shook to the changeup. Excellent pitch. This ball doesn't get the plate, but it's close enough to tempt the hitter to take a hack at it. He can go back upstairs if he wants with the heater. A lot of options.
Lays off one that bites into the dirt. Count evens.
Doubled up on the changeup.
Dyson trying to save things, not just literally on the back end for the Rangers, but for this bullpen, which has been the biggest problem this season. Is 2-2 to Carlos Correa. Is swung on and missed for strike 3. And Dyson works a 1-2-3 9th inning. Back-to-back nights with saves for Sam Dyson, fresh into the closer's role for the Rangers, who have now beaten their in-state rivals all 5 times they've met this season. And the Astros suffer yet another 2-1 loss, their 3rd in a row.
Well, the Rangers have to be thrilled about the job their pitching staff did. Ramos keeping him off balance in 6 strong innings, and the bullpen pretty much on velocity shut down 3 innings to close it out.
These Rangers will be on FS1 on Monday, taking on Mike Trout and the Angels. You can only see it on FS1. That's at 7:30 Eastern. Also watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Elvis Andrus hits his first home run of the season back in the second inning. They added one in the third on a base hit from Odor, and they hold the Astros to just the Marwin Gonzalez solo shot. For Tom Verducci and JP Morosi, Joe Davis saying so long from Houston. 2-1 the final score. We get you in Los Angeles with Kevin Burkhardt, Dontrelle Willis, and Frank Thomas after this break.